What is up, everybody? Josh here again, and today we have an Icarus Week 166 update. This week we get lootable world bosses. All current world bosses are now lootable, and the foreseeable ones after that. We also get some additional talent points that you can acquire from a Styx and Olympus mission that were converted over. And also we get a double XP weekend this weekend, so you can earn double XP. And some news of some quality of life and fixes coming next week. Let's get into it, shall we? Icarus Week 166 brings lootable world bosses and some more talents at a double XP weekend as well. We get a double XP weekend, a great chance to earn extra talents and blueprint points. They've been evading you, like I have enough. World bosses have also been given a valuable update and are lootable now with the lootable resources that include exotics, and they converted 2 existing missions into missions that give additional talent points, which you have to complete again, even if you've done them before. This week brings some notable improvements, and we're going to go over these in detail. They fix seed tooltips in the field guide. Flip the player modifies to the bounds, ensuring that it doesn't overlap into the player's inventory. Not even quite sure what that means. Cave worms outside of caves now show a small mound instead of rocks. Cave worm carcasses and loot cleanup faster than before. Improvements to the sandworm death should now mean that it doesn't float in the air after you kill it. They reduced the title screen key art images file size from 140 megabytes to 12 megabytes and reduced uncompressed terrain button images from 180 megabytes to 5 megabytes. So the first thing we'll mention is the cave worm above ground, and right here you can see there's just like a little tiny, looks like they stretched the ground up above the cave worm here pretty much. And that's what it looks like for the cave worm above ground. And that also goes for the larger cave worm as well. Whenever you're thumping, you can see the little mound that it protrudes. Just looks like a stretched texture up from the ground, pretty much. So instead of, I think they probably could have let the rocks in, and it would have looked a little bit more natural or better. But yeah, this is what you get with the cave worms above ground now. And oh, it disappeared. There we go. So finally it'll disappear. It did have it there for a good 10 to 15 seconds, it looked like. And that finally leads us to the sandworm and his death animation when he dies. So we're going to kill him and kind of show you what that looks like. So he should now die and not be floating in the air or anything like that. And that leads us to our next point about this update. And oh look, he actually is still floating in the air. Yeah, that's kind of unfortunate. So I guess really that update, I don't think that actually is true. It's just something else they said, and it kind of seems like he's still floating in the air. Maybe not as bad as before, but you can now loot bosses, which is pretty nice. And there's no loot in this boss, so that's pretty cool too. It's quite a nice update, honestly. But I'll give him this. He is actually lootable. He just doesn't have any loot on him. So there's that, unfortunately. Which segues over to our next point about this wonderful Icarus update. Lootable world bosses. All current world bosses are now lootable. And this remains true for all future current bosses as well. You can loot them, but not skin them, and access its loot pile. They say all world bosses have now been rebalanced to provide some more of their unique parts before, as well as granting exotics as one of their rewards that you can upload with the OEI. So supposedly when you kill a boss, like we did just now with the sandworm, you're supposed to be able to get loot from them. So let's go ahead and kill something else. Maybe it's just sandworms that are bugged? Who knows? Hello. Alrighty, let's go see if we get some loot from this thing. So it looks like we have an option to loot the carcass right now. Oh, we actually did get some loot from this one. So maybe the last one just bugged. And it looks like 37 exotics. And then we also get some additional parts like the carapace that drops from the scorpions whenever you're shooting them. Sometimes you'll see little pieces of carapace drop down when you shoot them with a bullet. And those are little pieces that you can grab. But you also get some of those whenever you loot the boss. So at least the scorpion boss was actually able to drop loot. We got another sandworm here. It'd be silly for us not to kill it and try it again, just to see if that one bugged. See if he dies in a weird position. Yep, still hovering over the ground, it looks like. That's 2. And no loot. So it looks like we are the playtesters this week. That is 2 sandworms that have hovered above the ground and no loot. And it looks like I've got a ghost sandworm here. This sandworm actually is not even showing up on the map, even with the modules. Well, I mean, it is Icarus, so that is quite common, I guess. Yeah, ghost sandworm. Got us a little wolf boss here. We're gonna go over there and kind of poke him a little bit. Oh, look, he's going out. They're going after other things. Looks like tuskers. What do I do? Alrighty. So we have the Black Wolf boss here. Let's see if we get any loot from him. Let's see. Let's skin him and see. He is actually skinnable. Oh, okay, nice. So we are actually getting exotics. An excessive amount of exotics, it looks like. Is that 100 exotics, it looks like? Holy Christ. So that's a lot more exotics than we got even for the Scorpion boss, which is nuts. So they do give exotics. And we got, finally, we've already showed the slug last week, but we're going to show you the little friend, or the lava hunter. And we'll show you what it drops whenever it gets killed. And once it dies, we can go up and loot it, it seems. And you'll get some exotics and looks like some sulfur for it as well. Let's see, 45 exotics it looks like. That is the Lava Hunter and its loot. So that's all the world bosses we're going to show you, but basically the world bosses will drop loot, except for the sandworm. It looks like it may be bugged currently this week. Hopefully they fix that, and hopefully they are a little bit more prudent on their releases, as it seems like a lot of the releases of new content are bugged or have issues. Let's hope for better future for Icarus. This week we also get some extra talent points. There are 2 missions that you can now complete that you have to recomplete if you've already completed them before in the past, like we have. And that is the Olympus Nightfall mission and Styx Ironclad mission. Those 2 missions now give you an additional 2 talent points once completed. So you can actually get an additional 4 talent points with this update. And if you want to, you can do it as a standalone mission or part of your open world if you haven't already done so on your open world. But once you complete them, all your existing or new characters will gain 2 extra talent points. And we have the double XP weekend this weekend. They're letting you have double XP boost this weekend, so you can jump in and gain those valuable levels or extra blueprint points or talent points. And this will run from now to whenever they remember to turn it off again. And we get some fixes in quality of life next week. I'm interested to see what that's all about. Next week, they are dedicating the patch to smaller fixes and quality of life. And we're going to go over very shortly the changelog. We have the new content section. So they say the Scorpion boss, Sandworm, and the Lava Hunter now have lootable carcasses, and that was true, except for the Sandworm. We didn't get any loot from the Sandworm. And of course, they upgraded the loot table for the Black Wolf boss because you skin it. Under the fix section, they say project-wide asset optimization and cleanup. They removed the beta weekend UI content. They adjusted the description for the Desert Master talent because it looked like it was decreasing, but it's actually increasing speed. You now get fur from the furless Drac, and chase him down, not being unlockable after quick clean up in the hunting tree. They fixed that. Looks like they fixed some skinning XP issues because destroying a beehive was giving the same XP as killing a bear. Shouldn't be right. You can no longer get sandworm loot from cave worms. And over in the future content section, we'll skim through this and mention anything we haven't mentioned before in the past. They just mentioned a little bit more about the legendary weapons coming. Like a little bit about the rock golem and juvenile rock golem, which will roll if you're too far away from it. Looks like we're getting a vintage jam and hunnet pot. I'm guessing honeypot. Adding new lab for ape quests. Looks like each one of the bosses are going to have their own quest line, possibly. And they worked a little bit on the biolab background. Looks like we're getting a chicken nest and a swamp ape and ice mammoth arena. Setting up vintage jars, showing machine, honeypots, ranch gate, and signs items for homestead. And some kind of currency exchange for biomass. Looks like we're getting a lamppost and wall-mounted static meshes. Oh yay, a new bench. The homestead kitchen bench. Looks like there's a Rhyme Tusk Great Hunt D mission. And that really looks like that's it for this update. And that's going to be it for this video. Don't forget, if you like what you see, to like, comment, subscribe, and all that good stuff. Subscribing will get you weekly Icarus update videos. We will not be streaming Icarus until they release some new content, just to let everybody know. We will be replacing the Friday slot with Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, since we're having such a blast playing that game. And hopefully, we'll see you next time. Peace.